In this tutorial, we'll explore various Excel functions for calculating working days between two dates. We will use diverse examples to illustrate the process. Excel provides Workday and NETWORKDAYS functions, both essential for calculating weekdays accurately. The Excel Workday function takes a date and returns the nearest working day in the future or past. Using the NETWORKDAYS function, you can calculate the number of workdays between two dates that you specify. And now, let's have a closer look at each function and see how you can use it to calculate working days in your Excel worksheets. The Excel NETWORKDAYS function calculates the number of weekdays between two dates, automatically excluding weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. It can also optionally exclude a list of holidays. The syntax of NETWORKDAYS is easy to remember. The first two arguments are obligatory, and the third one is optional. The first argument is the start date, the initial date from which to start counting working days. The second argument is the end date, the end of the period for which you are counting workdays. The third argument is holidays, an optional list of holidays that should not be counted as workdays. Let's calculate working days between two dates. In this example, we will use the NETWORKDAYS function to calculate working days without considering the holidays. In the dataset, we have the start date and end date. We will calculate the total working days in that period in the working days column. Write the NETWORKDAYS formula in cell, select the start and end dates. We can see that the value of working days for that range is 25. Drag the formula for all cells down. Let's include holidays while calculating working days. The dataset is the same. We have a list of holidays in cells A13, A15. The holidays in between are Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day. Select the start and end dates. For the third holiday argument, select the holidays range. Press F4 to lock the cells. The value of working days for that range is 24. Important things to remember when working with NETWORKDAYS function. If the start date is later than the end date, the function will return a negative value. If we give NETWORKDAYS the same date for start date and end date, it will return 1. If any of the given arguments is not a valid date, value error will occur. If we wish to use weekends other than Saturday and Sunday, we need to use the NETWORKDAYS.INTL function. The NETWORKDAYS.INTL function is similar to the NETWORKDAYS function. Both functions calculate working days between two dates. This NETWORKDAYS.INTL function is more flexible than the NETWORKDAYS function because it allows you to control which days of the week are considered as weekends. The syntax of the NETWORKDAYS.INTL function is very similar to NETWORKDAYS, except it has the additional weekend parameter. The weekend argument controls which days of the week are considered weekends, and therefore not included in the count. Holidays are also treated as non-working days and will not be included in the result. By default, NETWORKDAYS.INTL will exclude Saturdays and Sundays, but this can be customized. The NETWORKDAYS.INTL function provides two options to configure weekends. The first option is to supply a number as shown in the table. The second way to configure weekends is to provide a text string composed of ones and zeros. This text is provided as a string of 7 characters which must be either 1 or 0. In this scheme, the number 1 means weekend and 0 means workday. Each character represents a different day of the week, starting with the first character as Monday. Let's have an example. Using the list of dates from the previous example, Let's calculate the number of workdays between two dates with Sunday being the only weekend day. For this, you type number 11 in the weekend argument in the formula. For the holiday argument, select the holidays range. And we get the function results. Let's have another example with weekend argument as custom weekend pattern, with 7-digit string. The string consists of 7 digits, each representing a day of the week starting with Monday. 1 represents a weekend, 0 a working day. I want Monday and Sunday to be weekends. So the first and the last number of 7-digit string will be 1. It is important to remember that, if the start date or end date are out of range, NETWORKDAYS.INTL returns the numerical error. If the weekend is invalid, NETWORKDAYS.INTL returns the value error. The Excel Workday function returns a date that is a given number of working days ahead of or prior to the start date. It excludes weekends as well as any holidays you specify. You can use the Workday function to calculate shipment dates, delivery dates, and completion dates that need to take into account working and non-working days. When using Workday in Excel, you have to input the following arguments. The first 2 arguments are required and the last one is optional. The first argument is start date, the date from which to start counting weekdays. The second argument is days, the number of workdays to add to or subtract from start date. A positive number returns to a future date, a negative number returns to a past date. The third argument is holidays, a list dates that should be considered non-work days. By default, Workday will exclude weekends, Saturday and Sunday. Let's have an example. Supposing you have a start date in B column, a list of holidays in cells A10, A12, and you want to find out the date's 10 workdays in the future and past. To add 10 workdays to the start date, excluding holidays. For the first argument, select start date. For the second argument, write 10. For the third argument, select the holidays range. Excel Workday function returns serial numbers representing the dates. To get those numbers displayed as dates, select the cells with the numbers and press Ctrl+1 to open the Format Cells dialog. On the Number tab, select Date. To subtract 10 workdays from the start date, everything will stay the same, just for the second argument write -10. To calculate weekdays based on the current date, use the Today function as the start date. If you need to customize which days of the week are considered weekend days, use the more flexible Workday.INTL function. The Excel Workday.INTL function takes a date and returns the next working day based on a given offset value. Unlike the Workday function, Workday.INTL allows you to customize which days are considered weekends, non-working days. You can use Workday.INTL function to calculate completion dates, ship dates, etc. that consider non-working days. The syntax of the Excel Workday.INTL function is similar to the Workday function, but it has the additional weekend parameter. The weekend argument is optional and controls which days of the week should be considered weekends, and therefore non-working days. By default, Workday.INTL will treat Saturday and Sunday as non-working days. The weekend argument can be either a number or a string. The weekend string is a series of 7 zeros and ones that represent 7 days of the week, beginning with Monday. 1 represents a non-working day and 0 represents a workday. Let's calculate workdays with custom weekends. To add 10 workdays to the start date, Sunday and Monday counted as weekends and holidays in A10, A12 excluded, write the formula. For the first argument, select start date. For the second argument, write 10. For the third argument, select 2. This corresponds to Sunday and Monday as weekends. For the last argument, select the holidays range. For the second example, to choose Friday and Saturday as weekends. For the third weekend argument, select 7. Let's have example with weekend argument as custom 7-digit string. 1 represents a weekend, 0 a working day. I want Friday and Saturday to be weekends. So the 5th and the 6th number of 7-digit string will be 1. Important things to remember when you are working with Workday functions. Numerical error occurs when the combination of the start date and days arguments generates an invalid date. The weekend argument in the WORKDAY.INTL function is incorrectly specified. The value error occurs when the start date or any value in the holidays parameter is not a valid date. The days argument contains non-numeric data. Mastering the calculation of workdays between dates in Excel is essential for efficient project management. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Excel tips.